What's up guys and welcome back to Tech Plant. Today I'm going to show you how to overwinter your elephant ear plants. Let's check it out. In order for this video to be valuable for you, you're going to need some sort of elephant ear species. It can be the green ones, the black ones, or anything else that's related and that grows from tubers. This one happens to be the black magic variety. Its scientific name is a Colocasia esculenta. I'll put the word in the description because I'm sure I just completely butchered it. It looks pretty sad right now, and that's because it has succumbed to the cold, cool nights that we're getting now that it's fall here in Wisconsin. But that's okay, it's not too late to save and overwinter it. In fact, some people actually wait till after the first frost to do this, while others will do it beforehand. I don't think you can go wrong either way. The first step I'm going to do to try and get this out of here is to slowly dig away some of the excess dirt around the plant. Make sure you stay like 6 inches away from the center of the plant, because depending on how big the tuber is, you don't want to kind of nick it and damage it, because that could cause it to rot when we try and overwinter it. Lucky for me, mine has sprouted tons of little babies. We can take those out and repot them and kind of have them as like indoor houseplant over winter, but we'll take the main big bulbs and just kind of set them up to be dormant. Don't worry too much about severing roots, because we're actually going to rip them all off later, but just make sure you don't hit the tuber. So again, about 6 inches around the whole base of the plant and the babies. Just try and remove as much soil as you can so we can pull this thing out. Once you think you got it good, just grab it by the center and just slowly kind of yank, pull, and shake until the whole thing comes out. At this point, once I got it out of the dirt, I took it out into my yard and washed off with a hose. Don't be too rough with this thing. We don't want to bruise or damage it, because again, we want to try and overwinter this thing and prevent it from rotting. So just wash all the soil out the best you can. Here's what mine looks like all cleaned up. You can just see tons of good white root growth, and you can see all the babies. Once you've gotten the soil kind of out of there, you can really recognize that there's quite a bit. And again, you can pot these up as houseplants and kind of wait till next summer and then plant them outside. But before you can do that, you actually have to remove it from the bulb. So what I kind of do is take my thumb and follow the main bulb or the main center stalk, and I try and get it kind of between the babies until I reach the point where it's actually attached, and then I just kind of bend it and it snaps away quite nicely. At first I thought it was going to take a lot more effort to get these things off, but as long as you kind of ride your thumb down in between and get more towards the base, the babies pop off quite nicely, and they even have their own root structure. Mine are pretty small though, so I don't think I'll be able to overwinter them the way we're going to do the main bulb, so these would be best planted in some sort of pot and kept indoors during winter. Once you've removed all the babies that you want, you're going to want to move on to the next step, and that is severing the top like main stalks from your bulb around 2 or 3 inches above the main bulb. We'll peel this back later, but we just don't want to cut and damage the bulb. It's kind of interesting to see the cross section. It really reminds me of like a green onion or something. I don't know if you can eat these, but I definitely wouldn't recommend it. And also, when you're cutting and breaking this stuff apart, you should definitely wear some gloves, because there is some sort of chemical in these that can kind of irritate some people's skin. Once you've got pretty much the bulb isolated, now you can start ripping off the roots. Some people do leave them on and say you don't necessarily have to do it, but I'm going to rip them off anyways, because when it comes to like replanting in the spring, I'm going to tear off all the old stuff anyways so I don't plant it and it starts like rotting on me. So I'm just going to remove them in advance. Again, just pull them off gently, they should snap right out. Try not to ding or damage or bruise the main bulb. Maybe some of you experts out here caught it, but I've been calling this thing a bulb this whole time, but it's actually a tuber. But on every box that they're sold in the stores, and it always says bulb anyways, so I'm just going to use that name just to not confuse people. Once you've kind of removed all your roots, I would get a bucket of water and really rinse it off nice and gently and try and get as much dirt and dead material off. I did have some kind of rotting stuff on there just from when it got too cold and some of the kind of meaty parts of the plant got soft and rotted away. So make sure you remove any of that stuff and the soil, because we want this thing to be pretty darn clean, so that way nothing causes it to rot as we store it. Once you have it all cleaned up, it should look a lot like this. Now you're going to want to place it in some area so it can dry out pretty good, and then we'll move on to the next step. Maybe a few days is all you need for the initial drying, and then you can do what I'm about to show you. So again, now a few days have passed and it's pretty dry. Some people can just kind of pack it away like this with those extra kind of cut off leaves on top, but I'm going to remove them because I am a little fearful that they could start rotting and cause issues. But again, some people do leave these on. I'm going to start with just peeling away the much bigger pieces, and I'm going to make sure I try and peel as much of it off of the base of the tuber as I can. We don't want to leave a lot of extra plant material, because that moisture and plant material could succumb to rotting and it could spread to the tuber. Once you get to a part where you can't really peel it, then I just took a sharp knife and kind of shaved it down the best I could without hitting the tuber too hard. This one looks like I may have gotten a little close on it, but I'm pretty sure it should be okay. Once you got something that looks a little bit like this, some people choose to wrap it up in some paper and kind of store it in like a cooler, dark place. your basement will probably work pretty well. Make sure you do check on them every few weeks just to make sure they're not rotting, so you don't kind of come to just a rotting mess in the future when you decide you want to plant them in the spring. So do check on them, and again, make sure they're in a cool, dry place. Well guys, that pretty much sums up this video. I hope you liked it. It was short, sweet, and pretty simple to follow. Hopefully you guys can do this too, so that way you can replant your tubers next year and have the same wonderful plant. As always guys, may your plants go strong and healthy. I'll see you next time.